So our first game on the slate for Sunday are the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Jets. Heading to London, no one is at their home stadium that is in London, but the Vikings are being treated as the home team. And the Vikings are being given 2.5 points in this game, rightfully so. The Vikings have looked like one of the best and most dominant teams in the NFL, and I've been kind of disrespecting them, man. And Vikings fans have been coming after me, and rightfully so. I get it. The Vikings have been very good. That defense, Brian Flores, Sam Darnold, everything about this Vikings team has been awesome. Now, the second half of that Green Bay game has me thinking a little bit, but, I have to pick the Vikings this week, man. They have proven me wrong every single week, and, that's why I'm picking them this week, man. Even though, they're going up against a really good defense in the Jets, right? I think this game might be a little more low scoring than I have it, but you really never know. Sometimes you think a game is going to be really, really low scoring, and sometimes you think this game is going to be high scoring, and it's just the opposite of what you think. But I think that Sam Darnold and this Vikings offense is going to, I think they're going to have a really nice day. I mean, Aaron Jones, I think they're going to get the run game going. Of course, you got all the weapons. And, when you have all those weapons, man, it's hard to play defense regardless. And how high of a level Sam Darnold is playing at. It's going to be hard for that Jets defense to keep up with that offense. See how this offense is going to fare versus another really good defense. I mean, the Packers have a good defense. I really believe they do. They do have a really good passing defense, but Sam Darnold just carved them up in the first half. Second half was a little questionable from the offense and the defense. Defense really, but I don't think the Jets are going to be able to do enough in this game on offense to beat the Vikings. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been good, and his offensive line has been good, but his playmakers have not helped him out at all. Garrett Wilson has looked like crap this year so far, but to give it to you straight, he has not looked good. He has not held up his part of the deal. I mean, a lot of these playmakers aren't stepping up for the Jets on offense. That's what's killing them. And now this week, you're going up against a defense that is going to disguise things. They're very athletic. They're always right at the catch point. I mean, this defense is playing at a very high level. This is the best defense in the NFL right now. One of the best, if not the best. And, we've seen the Jets go up against some good defenses, but this week, you're playing up against the best in the NFL. One of the best, if not the best. And I just don't think Aaron Rodgers and this Jets offense are going to be able to outscore the Vikings, leading to another Minnesota Vikings victory, and keeping Sam Darnold right in front of that MVP race. You have Baker and Sam Darnold both in the front of that MVP race, which who would have ever thought, 2 or 3 years ago that would have been the case? So, everyone would say, yeah, you're crazy. It's not happening. Well, they are, and Sam Darnold is one of them, and Sam Darnold is going to make a couple nice big plays in this game, has a good situation for him once and for all, and is going to beat his former team in the New York Jets, and the Minnesota Vikings walk away 5-0. All right. Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears. Now, this is a game where a lot of people are picking the Bears. They're coming off of a big win versus the Rams. Don't forget, the Rams were really, really, really beat up, but you cannot take that win away from the Bears. You have to give them credit. They had a good day, but I think it's going to be one of those situations. All right, they have a big game. They can get some momentum going. No, this is a trap game, and I had the Carolina Panthers all over the Bears. I mean, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's probably going to be a low-scoring game, but you ask me, who do you trust to make the game-winning play, the game-winning drive? Tell me, do you trust Caleb Williams or Andy Dalton more? I'm going to go with Andy Dalton with the weapons that Andy Dalton has. Caleb has some really good weapons as well, but I think that this Panthers offense is going to make big plays on the stretch in the most important moment, having Andy Dalton, having that veteran guy there. Although, the Bears do have a really good defense. That's one thing that the Bears really do have going for them is their defense. Great defense, awesome defense. They have struggled against the run a couple weeks, a couple times, and Chuba Hubbard has looked all right. But really, this Panthers offense is nothing to scoff at. With Andy Dalton, they have a couple weapons. Dave Canales, he's a really good offensive mind, and really, we've learned that his scheme works. Bryce Young just is not good. He wasn't good in the situation, and it's not a good situation for a young quarterback to learn and get better in. But I just think that the Carolina Panthers are gonna find a way to win this football game and upset the Bears. A lot of people picking the Bears, like I said, but I think that, I'm going to take Andy Dalton over Caleb Williams in the Bears offense. I mean, I'm not a fan of Caleb Williams, man. He looked a little better last week, but let's see if he can do it 2 weeks in a row. I don't know. And if he could, the Bears will probably win this game, but I don't see it. I don't see Caleb Williams and this offense being able to put up enough points to win the football game. So I have taken the Carolina Panthers over the Chicago Bears 21-16. Next up, oh my gosh, is this one going to be a treat or will it be a blowout? I mean, we just saw the Baltimore Ravens blow the Buffalo Bills out, and the Ravens have been a hot and cold team to start the year. And in the beginning of the season, they weren't looking to. I mean, they did play some good teams, but you also did lose to the Raiders, so that's a bad mark on your resume. But for 2024, but I mean, they've also smoked the Bills. It's weird how the NFL works, doesn't it? But the Bills or the Bengals haven't really looked good themselves, and they have played a couple good teams like the Chiefs, but they even struggled versus bad teams and kind of let bad teams stay in the sticking games with them. This is absolutely a Bengals move to go and win this game after the Ravens just beat the Bills and just smoked the Bills. This is totally a Bengals thing to do in the beginning of the season. Start bad, start playing good. You barely beat a bad team, and then you go ahead and then you beat the Ravens. I can see it happening, but looking at it at a matchup standpoint and just, strictly off of that, I think the Ravens got it in the bag, man. I mean, Joe Burrow is awesome. We all know that. We all know that he has great weapons, but their defense has not looked good. They just played the Panthers, so I'm not gonna take the day they had away for versus the Panthers. It wasn't great, but it was much better than it has been. I mean, but now you're going up against a whole different animal once again. You're going up against Lamar, Derrick Henry, who has looked great. I think this Bengals defense and this Bengals team will, get better as the year goes on. And I think after this game, they go on a nice little winning streak. But this is the bump in the road. This is another quick bump in the road, and it's going to be a tough loss versus the Ravens, man. I mean, you can't just look at what they did last week versus the Bills and ignore it. No, the Bills were looking like the best team in football, right up until last week, and you gotta give credit to the Ravens. They smoked the Bills. So I'm taking the Ravens in this one, man. I don't have too much confidence in the Bengals team to play clean enough football, to not be sloppy enough. I don't know if Joe Burrow's gonna get enough time. I'm worried about the offense is consistent. This whole Bengals team isn't consistent. So they've worried me. Even versus the Panthers, I thought they should have done a better job. I thought they should have done much better in that game versus the Panthers itself. And now you're going up against the Ravens, man. And we'll see. The Ravens lost to the Raiders earlier this year, and the Raiders aren't a good football team. But the Ravens have, they're hot and cold as well, man. So we're gonna see. But I'm taking the Ravens. I'm pretty confident in the Ravens, but I could totally see this game being one of those games where the Bengals just pull the Bengals and beat a team that they shouldn't at this point in the season. All right, Dolphins and the Patriots. The complete polar opposite of the last game. This is just going to be a crapshoot. This is going to be a grudge match. Two very sloppy football teams. Two teams that aren't playing good football. Two of some of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, if the Dolphins had two, it would be a no-brainer. But I do like Tyler Huntley, and I do have more confidence in the Dolphins' weapons than the Patriots' weapons. It's just as simple as that. In the NFL, you got to score points to win. No crap, JW. But the Patriots, man, they're not going to be able to score enough points. They're not going to be able to outscore the Dolphins. And, that's a big reason for taking the Dolphins. I just don't see these weapons, making a couple more big plays than the Dolphins' big plays, than the Dolphins' weapons' big plays. I just don't see this Patriots offense, looking too good. Their defense is all right. It's not horrible, but I do think that the Patriots are the worst team in the NFL. And the Dolphins are right down there with them right now, but I do like Tyler Huntley more than Jacoby or Drake May. Whoever's going to play, I like Tyler Huntley more than both of them. And, of course, I love the Dolphins skill position players, Tyreek, Waddle. All it takes is one or two big plays to be broken from those two, and that's probably game, honestly. I don't even know if the Patriots will score 16 because the Dolphins defense has been hot and cold themselves. They had an all right week a couple weeks ago versus the Seahawks. They, kind of kept them in the game there. But last week, and versus the Bills and stuff, it's been very disappointing. You let Mason Rudolph and the Titans put up 31 points, and the Dolphins were completely outplayed by the Titans last week, and I had the Titans as one of the worst teams in football too last week. So That's got me worried a little bit, but um, I'm gonna take the Dolphins. It is a short week too, so that's not good for Miami. That doesn't help. But the Dolphins will be able to run the football. They're going to be able to make, they're going to be able to get the ball to their best playmakers, and their best playmakers are some of the best skilled players, skilled positions in the NFL. So yeah, I'm taking Miami 22-16 over New England. All right, man, another interesting matchup. This could be a trap game for the Commanders, but I just don't see the Commanders falling to the Browns, man. The Browns defense is all right, but you look at their offense, it's just a hot mess. The offensive line is horrible, and they're really bad against the blitz, really bad against stunts. There's no communication. Regardless, this Browns offensive line has been really bad. And what does Dan Quinn like to call the most? What's his favorite thing to do? Favorite thing is to call man coverage, blitz, and all those kind of things. So, and that has been the Browns' weakness. So, considering that as the Commanders' strength and what has worked for them so far this year, it's going to be a long day for that Browns offense. I have them scoring a couple points, saying, "Hey, I think a couple plays are going to get away on the Commanders here," and that's why I'm taking the Browns. Score a little more than maybe a lot of other people would think, just because of how bad the offensive line has been. Deshaun has been all right, but he just gets no help, man. Deshaun Watson has been okay. He hasn't been horrible. He hasn't been good or great. He's been okay. Not as much as money as he's been paid, okay, but he's been all right. But I just don't see them being able to overcome that. I don't see this offense being able to overcome how bad this offensive line is. It's not a good matchup for the Browns. Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson Jr. and the offensive line is looking better too. I just don't think that the Commanders are going to be able. I don't think that the Browns are going to be able to make that extra play. The Commanders have those playmakers. The Commanders have that defense that will make the extra play. They have much better offensive line. They can run the game. They can run the ball a little bit. I just don't see the Browns really sticking in this one. I can see them making it a close game because of their defense, maybe. But then again, their defense is going to get tired as the game goes on because that offense is going to struggle to stay on the field. Can't run the football, can't sustain drives. Yeah, it's not looking good. And Jaden Daniels has looked like one of the better quarterbacks, one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. I didn't think Jaden Daniels was going to be that good, man. I really didn't think that Jaden Daniels is going to be that guy. I was worried about a couple of things about Jaden Daniels, but you know what? He has proved me wrong. So I love to see a young quarterback looking as good as he is. It's just a great sight to see. Awesome to see. And the best team in the NFC East are the Washington Commanders, believe it or not, heading into Week 5. Favored by 3 points. Yeah, I'd be pretty confident in the Commanders covering this week versus the Browns. Like I said, as long as Jaden Daniels keeps playing the way he has and keeps getting better every single game, every week he keeps improving. I don't see why the Commanders shouldn't win this one. This is their game to lose. You know what I mean? So give me the Commanders 26-17 over Cleveland. All right, Jacksonville and the Colts. This is an upset for me. Even though you see the Jaguars favored by 3 here, and I think some people are picking the Jaguars, but more of a trap game, not an upset. This is in Jacksonville. The Colts haven't beat the Jaguars in Jacksonville in God knows how long. Maybe 8, 9 years. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a long time. And the Colts always play their worst football in Jacksonville. On top of that, they are so injured coming into this game. And, what's bad news for them is the Jaguars' skill positions are actually starting to heat up. Christian Kirk got going last week. Brian Thomas Jr. has looked great. Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked good himself, and there's been a couple really bad play calls and just stupid play calls like the 4th and goal QB run or draw. That was the stupidest crap I've seen, and stupidest play call I've seen in a while. Like, why would you even think about calling that? But yeah, plus the Jaguars are looking for their first win. It's a divisional game. Colts are coming off of a big win versus the Steelers. It's a trap game. I have the Jaguars winning 24-20, man. I just think that the Jaguars are going to be able to. I think that the offense is going to have a day. Their first big game of the year because of how beat up the Colts defense is. Colts have guys on the defensive line. Secondary is really thin. Secondary wasn't really that good coming into the year, but Jalen Jones has been all right. He makes a lot of good, but a lot of bad plays as well. But and I just don't see, and I did hear Anthony Richardson should play this game, but I think this is a matchup where Joe Flacco would actually be better, considering how hot and cold the Jaguars defense has been. I guess it kind of depends, but yeah, I'm taking the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars defense has a really good day for the first time. The Jaguars defense has been hot and cold as well, but yeah, I'm taking Jacksonville. The Colts are always struggle in Jacksonville really bad too, like really really bad. Like they always get embarrassed in Jacksonville. So yeah, I'm taking Jaguars 24-20. Pretty confident in the Jaguars beating the Colts this weekend. Texans and the Bills. Oh, this is gonna be an interesting game because the Texans have really struggled to put teams away. They've really struggled to put away some bad football teams. They struggled to put away the Colts. They struggled to put away the Bears. They struggled to beat the Jaguars. This Texans team, they have too much talent for those games to be that close. And now that you're going up against a Buffalo Bills team, they're angry. They're mad. They're pissed off after what happened last week. They're not going to come to Houston, taking it easy on you. They're going to come to Houston looking to beat your rear engine, and that's what I think they're going to do, man. Unless Houston can get their crap together, they struggle versus the Jaguars, can't finish out games. Their point differential is insanely bad. They have way too much talent to be looking the way they have, and I get it. They're playing really good football, Or no, they could be playing really good football, but they haven't played up to their potential. That's what I meant to say. You look at their offense, C.J. Stroud, he's having a little bit of a sophomore slump so far, but you have C.J. Stroud, awesome young quarterback, so many good weapons, and Diggs and Collins and Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, and then you have good running backs. The offensive line's all right. It's just, what is going on? You know what I mean? What is happening? Now, the way the Texans have a chance to win this game is if they pound the football. The Bills' running defense has been atrocious. And it wasn't just bad last week versus the Ravens. It hasn't been good all year long. They just been getting out to such big leads and this and that. Opposing teams are kind of forced to stop running the football. So, but if the Texans can come out running the football, and their offense can get things together, and the team could just get things together and put a full game together, man, I think the Texans could win this one. Very possible. That offense could be explosive. Can run the football, pound the football, keep the Bills' offense off the field. Don't let them get any rhythm. And the Texans have a shot. They have a shot. But they've struggled to close out games. And, the Bills did look really bad last week, man. They looked bad. Josh Allen, the Bills' entire team did not look good last week. But I think this is a get-right game after an embarrassing loss to Baltimore. Bills go to Houston. They beat up on the Texans, who have struggled to close games out and beat teams the way they should have, the way they should be beating them. So I'm taking Buffalo 31-24 over Houston. Broncos and Raiders. Look at the Broncos, man. What a shock. Look at how good they beat up on two really good football teams. They beat up on the Buccaneers really good, man. They really kind of dominated the Buccaneers that game. And then versus the Jets, a game that I did not think the Broncos would be in towards the end of the game. I thought the Jets were going to have a day against the Broncos. I thought the Jets were going to look really good and have a really nice day. But no, this Broncos defense is legit. And I don't see this Raiders offense being able to do too much against this or against this Broncos defense. As long as it looked like it has the first couple of weeks, man. Broncos defense looks like one of the better in the league. Awesome, elite. It looks that good, man. They did a very good job versus the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, MVP candidate, by the way, and they did a damn good job against Baker Mayfield. And then Aaron Rodgers, former multiple MVP winner, one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever walk on a football field. Granted, he's older. Maybe he's, getting into his years where he's not, as good as he once was, but it's still Aaron Rodgers. He's still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And, you limited him to 9 to 9 points. And somehow the Broncos beat the Jets last week. In the first half, they had -6 or -7 passing yards. So Bo Nix in this offense, I mean, they had a really bad first half, but they were able to put that behind them. And coming to that second half, they still didn't look great. They looked much better compared to the first half, but they made plays when it mattered most. They were clutch. They got very clutch. They made plays when you just didn't think they would. You thought they were out. You thought that offense was done. But Bo Nix in this offense, man, I mean, Bo Nix has been clutch. This offense making big plays when it needs it most. And I think that this offense could have a breakout party, can have a big day versus the Raiders. You just got to block Max Crosby. The Raiders are putting too many pressure on certain players and trying to have certain players carry the team, like the passing game, trying to have the passing game be the focal point and force that. That's not going to work with Gardner Minshew. Minshew's a fine backup. He's an okay starter. He's not a guy that's going to win you football games. He's not a guy that's going to lose you football games. And then on defense, you really rely on Max Crosby too much. And, it's kind of a Max Crosby one-man kind of army kind of deal, But, yeah, the Broncos, they're a more complete team. Defense has been awesome. Offense, they're going to do enough. They're going to be able to score when it matters most, maybe put the Raiders away close or later in this game. So, yeah, give me Broncos 20-10. I'm just, the Raiders count on too many few superstar players, and Vontae Adams not happy as it is. Max Crosby really, being left by himself doesn't really have too much help. It's I think it's gonna be a top day for the Raiders and the Raiders fans. So Broncos 20-10. Let's go Denver and Bo Nix. Next game, this game should be another pretty easy game for the Niners. The first couple of weeks, the Cardinals were looking like an all right football team. They're really explosive on offense. Defense was all right, but last week versus the Commanders, it was just a crapshoot. I mean, defense looked horrible, and the defense started all right, flying around, making good tackles, but defense just got worse and worse and worse as the game went on. Offense kind of lost its explosiveness a little bit, and it was a good matchup for that offense. Going up against a heavy man coverage team, a Dan Quinn led team, and Cardinals are kind of built to beat man coverage. You have Trey McBride, awesome tight end, Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray, and then you have so many speedy guys like really struggled against man coverage, which you should have been an upside for the Cardinals. Obviously, it was not. But I don't think the Cardinals are a very good football team. I don't think many other people think so either. And now you're going up against San Fran. I mean, one of the more dominant teams in the NFL. I don't think the Cardinals stand a chance in this one. Niners favored by 7. I would take that line all day long. I think the Niners win by 14 or more in this game, honestly. Niners very dominant. They're still getting right themselves, but last week versus the Patriots, a lot of good signs. A lot of good signs. First couple of weeks they were very sloppy. They were a little beat up as well, but as they're getting healthier, as they're getting better, I mean, the Niners should have no issue this one at home as well. So Niners looking good versus the Cardinals. All right, Packers and Rams. This ought to be an interesting game. This ought to be a one-sided affair in a way, I think. I think the Packers are the much better football team. Look, the Rams, they're a solid football team. When fully healthy, they're even better. But there are a couple things about the Rams that really scare me. They're not going to be able to get any pressure on Jordan Love. And, I mean, Jordan Love has been one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Last week, he looked much better than I thought he would, considering, he had a knee brace on, coming back from a pretty nasty knee injury, and he looked fine. The first half was a little slow for both sides of the football for the Packers, but I feel like once that second half came around, Jordan Love just took off right back to his normal self, looking like an awesome quarterback. And I think this Rams defense is really going to struggle to contain Jordan Love and the slew of weapons that Green Bay has. And don't forget, the Packers can run the football too, and the Rams are going to struggle to stop the run because, you don't have Aaron Donald. The defense, a line presence isn't really there, and you're still really beat up. I mean, you have Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams, but I mean, you could only do so much with a couple of players, with a couple of superstar players. It's the NFL, man. If it was any other sport, some other sports you get away with stuff like that. But the NFL, no, you need to be strong at every position. That's why it's the greatest team sport that there is to offer. So I am taking Packers 31-20 over the Rams. I just don't see the Rams being able to keep up. I don't see them, they may be able to run the football a little bit because the Packers' run defense is still not the greatest. I still see a lot of big holes open up on the offensive line, especially when they play the Vikings. Vikings were just able to run the football pretty well on them, but I mean, Rams, considering their offensive line is worse, the threat for them to throw the football isn't as scary. So give me the Packers 31-20 over the Los Angeles Rams. Seahawks and Giants. I mean, really bad matchup for the Giants, man. I mean, look at that Seahawks defense. They are injured. They do have a lot of injuries. But regardless of what the injuries are going to be, I still don't think the Giants are going to be able to run the ball effectively. Daniel Jones is still going to be very inaccurate. Takes too long to throw the football, and that doesn't help the offense line at all. Even we'll see what's healthy for the Seahawks, but whoever is or isn't, I still don't think what the Giants have on offense is going to be enough. And don't get me wrong, Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, they are absolutely phenomenal. But you need someone throwing the football consistently, and that's going to threaten the defense a little bit. Daniel Jones really doesn't do that, man. Too many missed opportunities. His deep throw has gotten bad. And his deep throw was one of his strengths, but now he sucks at it. He overthrows everything. And this Giants team in general, way too many missed opportunities, and they have a really good defense, man. They're gonna get after Geno Smith. They're gonna pressure Geno Smith all night long. But we saw how explosive Geno Smith in this offense was last week. And the Giants have a good run defense, so they're gonna be able to limit the Seahawks run game a little bit. And Kenneth Walker is awesome. He looked pretty good last week. Scored 3 touchdowns versus the Lions, man. I mean, the Lions have a good run defense. The Lions, good defense in general. But the Seahawks, man, they were so freaking explosive last week versus them. So what makes you think that they won't be able to be explosive against the Giants? I mean, Giants are going to call a bit of man coverage too. And, you have DK Metcalf. You have Tyler Lockett. It's going to be a long day for this Giants football team. And I think the Giants are a better team than their record and that they have looked, but they've had bad matchups and a lot of missed opportunities. The Giants are a somewhat talented football team, but too many missed opportunities, too many little mistakes, stupid mistakes, and it catches up with you. And they're not fixing it. So I got Seattle 21-16. That defense for Seattle should have a freaking day, man. I mean, Giants offense doesn't have too much going for it. You couldn't run the football at all versus Dallas, who has one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. You barely could run against them at all. So what makes you think you're going to be able to run against the Seahawks, whether they're fully healthy or not? On the front seven, it's just, yeah. I think the Seahawks got this one in the bag. I don't know about that line. As you see here, I had the Seahawks. I'd feel pretty comfortable about the Seahawks winning by 7 or more. So, I take that line. Just because of how good the defense is and how bad the matchup is for the Giants on both sides of the football. Steelers and Cowboys. I have the Steelers pulling this one out, man. I mean, you look at the matchup. Cowboys have, like we just mentioned, the Cowboys have a really bad run defense. We saw a couple weeks ago how they did versus the Lamar Jackson and that offense. And now you're going up against Justin Fields. He's no Lamar Jackson, but he can run the football. He is a quarterback that will run the football at a high level. Looks like the Steelers' offense got a little bit of steam towards the end of last game, but got to clean up a couple things. The snaps were bad. One of the high snaps were really the reason why you lost a football game. Seems like the quarterback and the center really weren't on the same page. But I had the Steelers winning this, man, because I just think that Cowboys offensive line is going to struggle. I think they're going to get a lot of pressure on Dak Prescott. And really, you look at this Cowboys offense, it's kind of like a Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb having to carry the offense. It seems like they're having a hard time finding other guys to step up and other playmakers to step up. Zeke looked good the first week, really hasn't looked the same since. And then Dallas's defense, they're not as good as they were last year. Yeah, so I'm taking Pittsburgh, man. I'm pretty confident in Pittsburgh winning this game too. I don't think it's a great matchup for the Cowboys. I really don't. But a couple things I could say is that the Steelers haven't really seen an explosive offense like the Cowboys yet. You know what? Like I said, the Cowboys really it's a Dak and CeeDee Lamb show, yeah. But that is explosive. That is an explosive duo. Brandon Cooks is out. The Cowboys have a lot of injuries too. But I'm just feeling the Steelers, to be honest with you, man. The Steelers are at home, Sunday Night Football. Even though it's a little bit more of a challenge for that defense, I think that the Steelers defense is going to bounce back after the game versus the Colts last week, and they're at home, Sunday Night Football, not going to make too many stupid mistakes. They're going to clean those up this week, and I say the Steelers beat the Cowboys. I say the Steelers take it. Last but not least, man, this is a treat. Monday Night Football treat. This is a hard game to pick. I thought this was a difficult game to predict because you look at all the injuries to the Chiefs offense. Going to be difficult for the Chiefs to get things going at times. I think that this offense is going to be inconsistent. As you see, I still have them putting up a lot of points against a good Saints defense. That Saints defense has been good. And they went up against a couple explosive offenses, some really good offenses. But, my main thing when looking at this game is I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a defensive and offensive battle. I think I think the first half it's going to be low scoring, very low scoring. It's going to be really slow. And I think it's going to be one of those games. The first half is really slow, and the second half really just picks it up. More action, looks a lot better than it did first half. A lot more action, a lot more offense, a lot more yards, a lot more points. But you ask me, who are you going to take? In a close game like this, are you going to take Derek Carr? Are you going to take the Saints? Or are you going to take Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid? And the Chiefs actually just signed Kareem Hunt. A little bit of an underrated signing. No one's talking about it. So that's something to keep an eye on. How is Kareem Hunt going to look? I think Kareem Hunt is probably going to look pretty good. It's the same system. And, not too much has changed. The offensive line is better from when Kareem Hunt was there, before. So the Chiefs should be able to get the run game going. And the Saints just worry me, man. The first 2 weeks, they played damn near perfect football. The last 2 weeks, it's kind of been the opposite. It's kind of been like some of the most sloppy football I've ever seen. Like last week versus the Falcons, it should have never even came down to the field goal at the end there. They, had a sloppy punt. You muffed a punt, a pick six. Carr hasn't been looking great the last 2 games. They do have a couple injuries. I do think Cesar Ruiz has had injury issues, and Ramczyk has as well. I think that the Saints offensive line is going to struggle a little bit against the Chiefs defense line. Chiefs defense line is strong. Chiefs defense in general is very strong, very good defense, and I do think the first half, like I said, it's going to be low scoring. Second half, I think both of these offenses are going to pick it up. But if you ask me, who are you going to take? Are you going to take Derek Carr or Patrick Mahomes to make that game-winning touchdown drive? I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes 100% of the time, as everyone else would. I'm going to take the team with the more clutch quarterback, with the best quarterback in the NFL. Although, the weapons scare you. Who's going to step up for the Chiefs? With Hollywood Brown probably being out for the year. And then you got Rashee Rice is out for the game probably. So definitely have some injuries here to look at. That could definitely impact the game. No Isaiah Pacheco for a while. But they did sign Kareem Hunt, remember. So I think that the Chiefs, I'm going to go bold here and say that the Chiefs run the football really well this week. No one's expecting it. Kareem Hunt back in the offense. I think everyone's going to realize once the run game gets going, hey, there's Kareem Hunt. He's a Chief again? Yeah. But yeah, give me Chiefs 31-27. It's going to be an entertaining game, really close game, really good game. Chiefs are fortunate themselves to be um to have won some of the games that they won too. Very close. Very, very, very close. So, all right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to this week's pick'ems, predictions, all that good stuff. So if you enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, put that post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. And I will see you guys next week for the weekly picks. I'll see you for power rankings. I'll see you for all that good stuff. I'll see you Sunday for the Colts and the Jaguars live reaction. So this is JW Sports Talk Show. Signing off. I'll see you guys next time.